Guess what we're going to do today? We're going to play with fabric today. I'm really excited. I decided I want us to welcome March in by making some what I'm calling fab flowers. I love creating fabric flowers in the spring. So I have some different pieces of fabric here. I pulled in, just a few just to kind of for us to play with. I also pulled in a few felts. I love our wool felts. They're so pretty. They make great little the little thingy that goes around the flower. They make great leaves, all of those kinds of things. Good morning, everybody. Thank you. You like my shirt? My shirt is from Cotton Chaos. I'm a member of their t-shirt club, and this was our t-shirt. It just came yesterday. So I was like, oh, I'm going to wear it. I want to wear it today. It says every little thing is going to be all right. Right? That's a good motto to live by. So we're going to make fab flowers today. We're going to make fab flowers, meaning fabric flowers, but I like to call them fab flowers. And some of you, when I've made these before, sometimes I'll call them rag roses because they're so great to make with your scraps of fabric. So you don't have to have, just a ton of fabric. You can kind of use your scraps. Y'all, you can make these out of denim. I mean, you can make them out of all kinds of materials. So I think it's going to be really fun. Teresa, you got your t-shirt today or yesterday too? Good. We can be T-twins. That's awesome. I know. I love their t-shirt club. I love a good, comfortable t-shirt. That's what I love to craft in. That's pretty much what I live in. Yeah. You have that one too, Shelly? Awesome. Cindy joined the napkin club last night. That's fabulous. Yes, that's awesome. Awesome. So excited. All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about making these fab flowers. Or if you want to be like me, sometimes I call them rag roses. Okay. So today I'm going to be just using kind of a variety of fabrics, brought in some different color green felts. These are wool felts that we carry here at the shop. And because, sometimes depending on the fabric, we might need a different color shade of green or something for leaves or for the little, I don't know what the technical name for it is, but the thingy that goes around the base of the flower. Okay. The other thing I want to show you is when we're building these fab flowers, today I'm just going to build them on skewers. These are just like regular skewers that you get like at the grocery store, right? So I'm going to build them on regular skewers, but there are other things you could build them on. Now, the reason I like the skewers is because then I can take my fab flowers or rag roses, whatever you want to call them, and I can stick them into my other arrangements. Right? So I like that. I like that I can just kind of stick them into different arrangements or greenery or wherever I want them to go. But sometimes I want them to be bendable. Okay. I want the stem to be bendable. So if I want the stem to be bendable, I love this stuff, y'all. This stuff is awesome. It comes kind of in a roll like this. I got it at Hobby Lobby. I don't think it's near the ribbon though. I think it's with wedding. I think it's in the wedding area, but look, do you see how it's wired? So it's wired. So I could cut this to be my stem and then build my fabric flower here on the end if I want them to be, if I want the stems to be bendable. Okay. Hi, Cheryl. Hello. Hey, Vicki. Thank you for sprinkling. I appreciate that. Y'all, yes, if you'll sprinkle this out to your crafty friends and family, that would be awesome. So you can use this as well. This is harder to put into an arrangement, but it's easier if you're going to make like your own little cluster, or your own little bundle, or maybe you're going to put them into a wreath. There's lots of different ways you want to wire them onto a banner. There's lots of different ways that you can utilize this stuff. So I love this stuff. It's in my crafty stash all the time. I use it for all kinds of things. Okay. So craft stores, I think I got mine. Hobby Lobby carries this, but I believe I got it where, you know how Hobby Lobby has like ribbon near the fabric, but then they also have ribbon and stuff near the wedding section. I'm pretty sure this was in the wedding section, like the floral area. Okay. Hi, Kimberly. Hello. Hi, Laura. So that works well too. Now, something else crafty that you might have at home already would be like pipe cleaners. Now, I'm not too big a fan of what the pipe cleaners actually look like. However, there's nothing keeping you from wrapping the pipe cleaner with a strip of fabric, right? And that goes for this too. If you don't like this rope, kind of burlap rope look, you can wrap them with just a strip of fabric to give them maybe you want them to have a green stem. Okay. For purposes of this morning, though, I'm just going to be working with the skewers. I think these will be great. And like I said, I love just kind of sticking them into arrangements. These skewers are thin enough. They're just the kind that you get at the grocery store, that you can just cut them even with your scissors. So you can cut the length down, of the skewer to whatever you need. You got some at Dollar Tree. Oh, awesome. We don't have Dollar-Ramas here, but we do have Dollar Trees. Yeah. Okay, good. So keep an eye out for that kind of stuff, right? Keep an eye out for that kind of stuff because I have a feeling you're really going to love these fab flowers. So that's what we're going to make today. We're going to welcome in spring, and we're going to get ready to welcome in. We're welcoming now that it's March, right? We're all getting spring fever. So it's time to create some really pretty fab flowers. Okay. Any of my Fabric Fan Club girls watching? I hope you are, because you're going to love this. I'll make sure to share this in our group. All right, so let's start with this pretty yellow. Look at this pretty yellow one. So the first thing I want you to know is that you're going to want basically about a 4-inch width, okay? For a pretty full rag rose fab flower, you're going to want this to be about 4 inches. It can be ish. Okay, it can be ish. And then once you've made one this size, then you'll kind of know, okay, if you want to make one a little smaller, then you just go down an inch, right? If you want to make one a little bigger, you go up an inch. But let's start with I think this is a really good size, a 4-inch strip. Now, I just tore strips off of fat quarters. So this is basically 4 by, let me just make sure. I think it was a full piece. Yeah, 4 by 21. But again, it really doesn't matter. It's what I'm using is about 4 by 21. Okay. 21, 22, somewhere in there. But if you want more layers to your flower, you just need a longer strip. Okay. Hi, Cindy. Thank you for saying that. I'm glad you're here. Betsy's here. Awesome. All right. So I'm going to change my screen for just a second. And yes, we are going to use a needle and thread, but I'm going to walk you through very simple. Anybody can do this. I promise you. Okay. So you're going to need some fabric, some pretty fabrics, possibly some pretty felts, green felts for leaves and the little thingy. You're going to want a hot glue gun. Okay. You're going to want your hot glue and glue sticks. You're going to need, I really like to use a glue stick for this, which I'm going to show you here in just a minute. And we'll talk about this glue stick as I use it. And then you're going to need some threads. Now, here's the cool thing about these flowers. It really doesn't matter what thread you use. Okay. Doesn't matter. You're never going to see the thread. So it really doesn't matter. You can use whatever you want. And then, of course, a needle. Okay. So let me show you how I do this, because let's take this pretty orange. You guys, I like torn fabrics. I like to just tear fabric. If you don't like to tear fabric, it's okay. It's okay. So if I'm going to tear fabric, and I'm just going to kind of gauge about 4 inches here. Again, it can be ish. Just put a little slit in your fabric and then just tear. I love it. It makes me feel powerful. And I love the raw edge, which we'll talk about in a minute, because I'm actually going to show you 2 versions of this flower. So let's do that again. Oh, so much fun. Now, they will get stringy. They'll get stringy. That's expected. Just pull those strings off. You'll just pull off those strings. And we're going to make a regular one here first. Okay, let's do this yellow. Okay, so we're going to do a regular one first. So let me scoot some things out of the way so that y'all can really see. And I'm going to switch my screen, okay? You love to tear fabric too? Oh, I don't know, Marilyn. I don't have a battery operated one. But my glue gun is a Sure Bonder and it has the micro tip. That's what I love. And it does not leak. I don't like glue guns that leak, right? That throw up. I don't like that. So I really love the Sure Bonder with the micro tip. That's my favorite. Okay, so we're going to use this piece. Again, getting rid of those threads. And I'm going to share lots of fun little tips with y'all today. We're going to fold this fabric over. I'm going to go ahead and switch my screen here so that you can see really well. Can everybody see that okay? Let's move some of this out of the way. Look at all that pretty fabric. Fabric just makes me happy, y'all. Okay, so I've got this here, and I apologize. I kind of have my camera at a weird angle there. That's better. That's better. So this is about 4 by 21, 22-ish. Okay. Again, if you want a fuller flower, you can change these dimensions. If you want a smaller flower, you can change these dimensions. I'm going to take a temporary glue stick. Y'all, this is what we use in my fabric fan club. It's by Aileen's. We carry it here in the shop. It is temporary fabric glue stick. Now, this is wonderful, but if you're in a pinch, just use, for these flowers, you can use any glue stick. Okay. It could be Elmer's, right? It could be an Elmer's glue stick. So I'm going to take this glue stick and I'm going to run it just along one long side. This is going to help it kind of stay together. The cool thing, this is a super cool tip. The cool thing about using a glue stick, okay, like this, love this brand especially, but if all you have is just like even an Elmer's school glue stick, use that. I love it because it's going to hold my fabric in place. Okay, it's going to hold my fabric in place. I'm going to fold it over in half, but it doesn't gunk up my needle. It does not gunk up my needle. And that is true also for those of you that have machines. It won't gunk up your sewing machine needle. Okay. So now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to load some thread. Now I'm using this blue color just so you can kind of hopefully see it a little bit better. And I'm going to bring my camera down. We're going to have all kinds of angles and things today. My favorite needle to stitch with is a number 7 embroidery needle, just in case you want to know. And y'all, I'm very unique. Okay. How many of you struggle with, let me go like this. How many of you struggle threading your needle? You can admit it. How many of you struggle threading your needle? Go ahead and tell me in the comments. Is it a problem? Does it stress you out? Does it make you mad when you can't thread your needle? Well, I want to show you what I do. First off, when I'm taking thread off, I don't ever pull more than what I call my reach. So basically the length of my arm, that's my reach. And then I double it. Okay. Okay. Well, I'm going to show you what I do because y'all, I don't thread a needle. I needle my thread. Okay. I know it sounds strange, but I needle my thread. So I have this pretty blue, let's let the camera focus. Okay, I have this pretty blue thread right here. I wanted to be sure you could see it. And I have my needle. I kind of pinch up my thread. Oh, I have some glue stick under my nail. I pinch up my thread between my thumb and my finger to where I can just see the tip. Do you see that little tiny tip of blue right there? And then I take my needle. Oops. To the thread and pull it through. It works great for me. So if you have a trouble with this, if you struggle with this, try needling your thread. It works great for me. Yes, they do make needle threaders. So, you know, all kinds of ways, right? So I want y'all to try that. I know I was breaking needle threaders right and left as well. And then when I started doing this, where I was needling my thread, it went so much easier. So the next thing I'm going to do, y'all, is I'm going to tie off a knot. I'm going to show you how I do that. Okay. So I have my two tails. I brought my thread to I brought my needle to the center of my thread. So I am going to be stitching with a double thread. Can y'all see that? Okay, so here are the two tails. I'm going to hold the two tails over my needle, and I'm going to wrap 1, 2, 3 times. I'm going to point to the ceiling, and then take these two fingers and pinch over everything that I just wrapped. Now I'm going to push my needle up through it. And voila, I get a nice little knot. Okay, isn't that cool? Yes, Kathy is exactly right. There actually is a front and a back to your needle. It's very hard to know which one is the front and the back. So typically, if you're having trouble threading it one way, turn your needle the other way and try that too. Oh, I love this knot method. It is awesome. Here, I'll do it again for y'all. Cut that off. So these are the tails. I'm taking the tails and holding them over the needle, right? Wrap 1, 2, 3 times. Point the needle up to the ceiling. Take these two fingers and pinch over everything you just wrapped. And then push the needle up through it and keep your fingers together all the way till the end. And then you get this perfect little knot. It's awesome. Definitely try it out. Okay, so some of you might be inclined to want to iron this. Don't iron it. We actually want this. We don't, right here, we want this. We don't want this to be like a sharp crease. So I'm going to tell you, please just don't iron it. You're going to like it better if it's not ironed. And now we have used the glue stick to put our piece together. So now we're just going to gather it. Okay, we're going to come down here on this end. Got a wonky end here. Cut that off. And again, it doesn't matter what color thread. We're going to do what we call a running stitch. It's basically like it's a gathering stitch. And y'all, the way that I stitch is very loose. There's nothing formal about the way I stitch at all. In fact, in our fabric fan club, the way I stitch is I call it doodling with thread. Okay, so that's all I'm doing is just doodling with thread. So for this though, we're going to take our needle, right? And we're going to just kind of gather the fabric, get as much as you can on your needle, right? And then just push it through. And you can go ahead and pull it. Don't pull it too tight just yet, because we're going to do this to this whole piece. And again, just kind of right here at the bottom. It doesn't have to be an exact, measurement away from the edge. I'm going to kind of open this up just so you can see that it's very random. Do you see how random that is? It's very random. The stitches don't all have to be the same length. None of that. Anybody can do this. Okay, I'm going to pull it down a little bit. And I'm just going to keep going. Just kind of gathering it onto my needle. And every so often pulling the thread through. Make sure your thread doesn't get knotted, because we're going to see, even like that wonky one, it's fine. It's totally fine. Okay, so let's go back. Let's do some more. Do you like this fabric? This was a fabric that was in one of our bundles last spring. Love it. And these are the kind of flowers that you don't have to water, right? You don't have to water. You don't have to worry about them dying on you. You'll have them to enjoy forever. All right, working my way. And you can just kind of keep pulling the fabric down Again, I don't want you to pull it too tight. I'm going to show you about how I want you to pull it. But see how nice it is that I don't have to really hold the fabric because I use that glue stick. So it just helps hold everything together. All right, we're almost to the end. Then we get to the fun part. Not that this isn't fun, but I mean, you can sit here and make these while you're watching TV. They're just so easy to make. Okay, we're to the end here. Okay, when you get to the end, we're gonna pull it. We're gonna pull our thread a little bit. Just kind of keep pulling your fabric down. I don't want it to be too super snug or tight. So I'm gonna try to show this to you in a way that'll be easy for you. Okay, so do you see the center of this? All right, do you see the center of that? What would you say that is? Let's say that's about 1 inch. Okay, so I want you to wind up kind of gathering it to where you have about 1 inch circle inside. Okay, isn't it pretty? Okay, so about 1 inch circle inside. Now we're just going to tie off our thread here. So I'm just going to go in. And you see how this creates a little loop right here? I'm going to take, before I pull it down all the way, I'm going to take my needle and just go through that loop. And that just makes a nice little knot. And I'm going to do that just a couple of times here on the end. So just pulling through, take my needle through the loop, and that's it. Okay, now we're going to make our flower. And then we're going to make a different one. Okay, you ready to make the flower? Oh, Michelle, you're recovering from shoulder surgery. Well, just save all these videos or come back to my page. And when you're better, this will be great physical therapy for you, right? It'll be great for you. Thank y'all for sprinkling. Christina, I'll have to check and see if we've got more in. It is something we carry all the time. So if we are out of them now, that means we probably have an order coming in this next week. Okay. All righty. Here we go. Let's go ahead. And like I said, I'm going to build my flower on a skewer today just to make it easier for you. But again, if you want to do something wired or bendy, you definitely could do that. So I'm going to start right here where my knot is. I'm going to pull my glue stick over here and I'm going to switch my camera back. Okay, so I think y'all can see this okay, right? Here's my skewer. I'm going to open up this part. You see this? I'm just going to kind of open this up a little bit. Actually, let's go ahead and grab the skewer here. I'm going to put a little bit of hot glue on this end, the end that is not sharp. Okay, the end that is not sharp. And I'm going to stick my skewer inside here. Can y'all see that? Sticking my skewer inside there. Squeeze it. And then we're going to run a little bit of hot glue kind of right down this edge. You can see that. And I'm going to wrap this fabric around. So basically the first thing we're doing is we're kind of wrapping the skewer. We don't want to see the skewer, and we want a really tight center. There we go. We want a tight center for our beautiful fab flower, rag rose, whatever you want to call it. Okay, does that make sense? Do you see? You're just sticking it inside, so that way no one's ever going to see it. Nobody's ever going to see that part. And now our skewer is stuck in there very, very, very well. And here we go. Ready? I'm going to start wrapping. I want this center part to be wrapped fairly snug. Now, if you want to, you can put a little bit of hot glue on here as you go. You don't need a lot. So sometimes I will glue these. Sometimes I don't glue them until the end because I want to be sure, you know, if I've gotten it too tight. Do you see? So I'm not gonna do this until I get it to the very end. And let me raise my camera up so I can hold this up for you. So do you see kind of what's happening here? We're making this beautiful flower. So I'm gonna take this back apart because I like only gluing the center. I like only gluing the center. And here's why, because I want to be able to just kind of roll my skewer. Whoops. Hang on, y'all. There we go. I'm going to roll my skewer. And that way I can kind of play around with the fullness of it. I'm just going to kind of hold it, right? Now all of this is going to be able to kind of come out and make this beautiful rose. So let me go ahead and glue this one. I'm going to go ahead and glue this one in place. Feeling good about it. So here we go. I'm going to wrap. So the only thing I really like tight is this part, the center. Does that make sense, guys? So here we go. When we get to the end, then that is where I'm going to put my glue. And I'm going to hold it for a second. Basically just kind of holding it like that for a second. We want to make sure that that has held up. I like the fabric flowers, Deborah, because the fabric is softer sometimes than ribbon. And now you can come back into these and kind of unwind them a little bit. And look how pretty they look. Aren't they pretty? Now we're going to do something to them. Isn't that gorgeous? Let me go back over here so y'all can see better this way. Aren't they pretty? They're so pretty. And when you do several of them, oh my goodness, they're so pretty. So I'm going to show you one that I've done here. I did this one out of the stripe. Look how pretty out of the stripe. So what happens is when you start putting all of these together, you get beautiful bouquets, right? So do you see this part? This is the part I'm going to show you next. This is the part that I don't know what to call this. So I'm just going to call it the fabric thingy. I'm not sure what to call it. So let's use, I'll stick with this bright green because this is also going to help the shape of our flower. Okay, so this bright green, what would y'all call this? Like, I don't know what to call this part. What is that called that goes around that part of the flower? I don't know. So I'm going to basically just cut myself somewhat of a circle. This does not have to be perfect. You don't have to have a template for this. It doesn't have to be perfect, just something that's somewhat of a circle. Holly says it's a calyx. Okay, the calyx of the flower or the thingy, whatever you want to call it. And then I'm going to come in and I'm going to notch out kind of like a triangle. I'm going to notch out a triangle. Right? Can you see that? It's like a pie, like we took out a piece of the pie. Doesn't really matter, you know, just a piece, just a portion of the pie. Okay. And then we're going to glue this around our flower here. Yeah, it looks like Pac-Man. Sure does, doesn't it? It does look like Pac-Man. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue right here to start. And I'm going to actually do this part here. What we're doing is we're kind of covering up any of the you know, the icky part, the stringy part. I used a little too much glue there. Right? So that's our first step. Now you can kind of turn it around. And I'm going to pull this kind of up and over, just kind of hold it down. You're going to glue it kind of as you go. Hot glue is fine for this. This is also helping to kind of pull our fabric flower together at the base. Let's go over here and do this side. But by having that little notch, it's going to go together so well. And it's going to look so pretty. And then we're just going to pull this around. Okay, now I can get in here and I can really kind of fluff my pretty rose. It's up to you how much, you know, that you want to, oh, I'm sorry, went on camera. How much you want to fluff it. And then if this bothers you right here where this kind of hangs down, this is a really simple, easy tip. Just put just a tiny little drop of glue there. And then just glue it to the one that's on top of it. I got another string here. Let me clip that off. Okay, and then that way they all stay up. Isn't that pretty? Y'all, they're so pretty. And I mean, they're pretty as singles, but when what's really pretty is when you start to put them all together. Aren't they cute? I need to put a little bit more glue on that one. Yeah. What do you think? Are you excited? These would be cute in heart fabrics for Valentine's Day. They're cute for anything. And like I said, if you build them on the skewers, you can stick these down into your other arrangements, right? Like you can stick them down into your greenery or your other arrangements. Or you can cluster them together. Like I said, you could paint the stick green. You could wrap. I actually like the idea of wrapping the stick with green fabric. Okay. So you could do that if you want to. They could be pretty just laying down with some ribbon or something. And then if you want to put them into like a wreath or you want their stem to be bendable, use this stuff, y'all. You can wire, it's like you can wire them into anything, right? A pretty wreath on a banner. I mean, you can really use them anywhere that you want. Okay, super easy. So this is this method. Okay, I'm gonna kind of hold it up close. I want to make sure you can see them. They're so pretty. They're so pretty. I want to show you now another look. Okay, same type of flower, just a different look. All right, let's do this. Let's do this orangey one. Okay, we're gonna do this orangey fabric. So the difference this time, let me get myself ready here. Okay. Any questions on the one I just showed you? Sepal is the bottom leaves of the flower. Okay. We're just going to call it the bottom of the flower. I don't know what else to call it. So I want you to notice on this one, I have torn both sides, right? I tore my fabric. Do you see that lovely, like I love this. I love all the fray. I love texture, so I love that. So we're going to do a different flower, kind of the same way, but just a little bit different. So this time I have it, front side down. I'm going to take my twist up glue stick, and this time I'm going to run it right down the center. Okay, just run it right down the center. And I'm going to fold it over. So just remember, and this time my glue stick is right down the center. Okay, so now I've got all this pretty fringy stuff on the edge. Okay, fringy stuff here. This part is actually open. Let me show you. So this part is closed. We're going to go back to our needle and thread. This should be plenty enough thread. And again, doesn't really matter the color of the thread. Okay. And here we go. All of these fabrics are 4 inches by about 21, 22-ish. Okay, so 4 inches by 21, 22. Now, keep in mind though, if you want to make a smaller flower, then you don't need 4 inches, right? If you want to make a bigger flower, it could be wider. If you want to make more layers in your flower, more rolls, right? More layers in your flower, then you need your strip to be longer. Okay, does that make sense? Aren't they fun? I hope you'll make some, Deborah. You can't find that glue stick. Okay, if you can't find this glue stick, we carry it all the time. Somebody told me they think we're out of stock right now, but we will have, that just means we'll have more coming in. You can use an Elmer's glue stick. Just use a school glue stick. Okay, especially for these flowers, it's going to be just fine. So I'm going to take and start my gathering stitch here. I'm just going to kind of gather it up on my needle and pull it through. But this time, the raw edge is going to be my petal. Okay, so my glue stick is at the folded edge. So this one is kind of just the opposite of our first one, but we're going to build it just the same. I can't wait for y'all to see these because this is kind of fun. You could mix these in if you want something a little more with a little more texture. Again, gosh, you could use any fabric you want. If you really love fabric, I'd love for you to come join us in the Fabric Fan Club. The doors are open right now. This, like what I'm showing you right now, is what I would consider what we call a fabric fun workshop. We're just making something with fabric. But we also do freestyle stitching in there, which is, again, doodling with thread. And we've got, I think we're down to about 10 spots. I think we have 10 spots open right now. So if anybody's interested in information on the Fabric Fan Club, just post it in the comments and I will be happy to send you a link for with information. Okay, so I'm still just kind of going along, gathering it up here on my needle. Again, so fun to make. Okay, I'm almost to the end. Make sure you don't get a knot so that you can pull all of this here in a moment. Oops. Bring this down, I'm sorry. Let's see if I can bring it down a little bit so you can see, just literally just gathering it up on my needle. Doesn't matter what it looks like. Doesn't matter how far apart it is. And we're at the end. So let's lay it down kind of in a circle here. And we're going to kind of pull it. And I don't want you to pull it any tighter than leaving about an inch circle in the center. Okay, we don't want to over tighten it. If you tighten it too much, you're going to wind up with what I call an uptight flower. And you don't want an uptight flower. Okay, yeah, you can stick them in your house plants for sure, Jan, because they're just on the skewers. You can stick them into anything. So I'm going to go back through here on my end, go through the loop, make a knot. I'm going to do that twice. I love the raw edges. So we're just going to get a different looking type of flower. Okay. So now then, I want you to look here. Do you see? This is going to be open like this. Okay. There's nothing holding that. We stitched on the fold line. We're going to make sure it looks like, yes, we've got about an inch circle there. And now we're going to glue it to the skewer again. But we're going to glue it a little differently. Before we had, this is where our fold was. So we were able to go inside the fold. So this time, I'm going to put just a little bit of glue on the end of the skewer, not the pointy end. And I'm going to open this up. Okay. And I'm just going to stick it together right there. Now, if you're left-handed, you'll just do all of this opposite. It doesn't matter which way you fold your flower in or out. Okay. So let's put a little bit more right here. So just make sure your skewer isn't sticking out the end. We're still going to pull this inside part in kind of tight because this is the center. I want to wrap this stick kind of tight because this is the center of our flower. All right, I think everybody can see that okay. Right? Isn't it cute? Okay, let's lay it out here. And again, I don't like to glue them. I like to just kind of wind them up and then look at them. And I'm going to kind of hold this one. I got to bring this up so I can hold it up for you. Do you see the type of flower we get now? We get all the fringy. Whoops. Here, you can kind of see it there. Isn't that cute? Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. So once I know that I'm happy with it, I'm going to start rolling, just kind of coiling it around here to the end. Let's put down some glue here on the end. And then I'm just going to hold it for a second. Yeah, if you're lefty, you're just going to be doing everything the opposite. So like if I'm rolling towards me, you're probably going to roll away from you, right? I love these flowers. Look how pretty, right? So it is different. It looks different than this one, but it just depends on the look that you're going for, right? It just depends on the look that you want and that you're going for, right? Do you see how you see all that texture? Right? Just so pretty, lots of texture versus this is more kind of, you know, almost kind of ribbon-like. They actually look pretty together in groupings. This could be really pretty for something that's more casual, right? Maybe it's summertime or I don't know. This also looks really good with denim because denim is, what's cool about denim, I'm just going to put a little tiny dot right here. What's cool about denim is when you have the frayed edge on denim, you get that light dark look, right? You get that kind of light dark look. Very pretty. So this is just another variation of this same exact flower. Okay, isn't it fun? This is just with the folded edge, right? This is with the frayed edge. Very cute. All right, let's go ahead and do another flower bottom. No. Flower thingy. I like thingy. Okay, which is basically somewhat of a circle. I mean, somewhat of a circle. It does not have to be perfect at all. And then we're going to take out kind of like a triangle piece of it. Best if you can cut it to the center. I didn't do a very good job on that one. There we go. Okay, looks like Pac-Man now. Somebody said Pac-Man. I like that. Looks like Pac-Man. I didn't bring any denim material. I should have because that would be really pretty. I usually do a lot of denim in my summer decor with my patriotic and red, white, and blue. So you'll probably see me make these flowers again at that point. So the first piece of glue that goes down is just kind of right here, just to hold it on, just so it holds on well. And then I usually just lay it down. I'll put a little more glue here. And then you're going to kind of wrap and hold. Wrap and hold. And kind of snug. Okay, kind of snug. I think the flower looks better and you can fluff it better and all the things if it's really snug. Okay. All right, let's go over and do this side now. Having this micro tip glue gun is the best because you can really control the amount of glue that's going out. Except for I just got glue on my finger. And then we're just going to bring it over and just hold it in place for a minute. Now we can really fluff this guy out. They're pretty. I love it. See, just really fluff it out. So cute. So now let's look at all of these together. Isn't that pretty? Look at them all together. Aren't they cute? So just a different way, just a different look for these wonderful fab flowers, because you make them exactly the same. It's just if you want more texture, less texture, you know, whatever you want. So the other thing I wanted to show y'all is if you decide, like, you know, you don't want to, I mean, the little wood stems don't bother me at all. If you wanted to stain them, you could. If you wanted to paint them, you could. If you're going to paint them, I would paint them beforehand so you don't have to bother with paint after, you know, you're done with your flower. But the other thing that's kind of fun to do, y'all, is just wrapping them. You could wrap them with ribbon if you want. I'm going to grab a piece of this green fabric right here. And again, I'm just going to tear it. Great, great, great use of your scraps. Okay, you can make great use of your scraps. And let's start up here. Again, just a little bit of glue here. And you're going to want to put it on at an angle. See that? Kind of in an angle there. You don't even have to do the whole thing. If you just want to do the portion that's, you know, that's going to be showing, that's fine. And then just wrap. This is all about using our fabric today. So you could probably wrap to about right there, because if you're going to pop this into an arrangement, you know, you're going to have that part. If it's going in a vase and you want to do the whole thing, you can do the whole thing. And whenever you're ready to stop, I put a little bit of glue right there. And that is just super fast. Super fast. So that could be ribbon, you know, fabric, lace. Lace could be pretty, right? But do you see how pretty that is? So the other thing we can do here, ladies, is we can add some leaves if we want to. Yeah, floral tape, washi tape. Oh my gosh. I mean, there's just so many. So if you decide to add some leaves, let's see, I'm trying to think like how long. I like just hand cutting leaves because they just look a little more, you know, you can come in here and even add a leaf in if you want to. A leaf could be down here if you want to. So what I like doing with these, and I would say to do this, let's do this with green thread because we want this to just kind of blend in. Cut a little bit off. Y'all with me? And again, I needle my thread. So I take my needle to my thread. We won't need much thread to do this. Bring my tails, hold them, wrap 1, 2, 3 times. Look to the ceiling. These 2 fingers, oops, I pulled it off. Here, let me do it again. 1, 2, 3. Pinch over it, push up through it. Now we got our cute little knot. So I kind of like it when leaves keep this kind of a shape. So watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to come in, I have my leaf kind of folded, right? So I'm going to come in here because that way my little knot goes in there, all right? And then I'm just going to do these little bitty stitches, teeny tiny little stitches right here, kind of in this, over this crease. Just little stitches. And do you see what happens, how it kind of holds my leaf like that? I'm going to put in a few more. You don't have to worry about how these look. This is going to be the bottom part of the leaf. And if you're using thread that blends in, it's going to be fine. Oops. Okay, so do you see what's happening here? Do you see how it's going to hold it like that? Isn't that pretty? Yeah, if you just signed on, I want you to watch the replay because I want you to see how to make these flowers, y'all. They're so pretty. I love them. I'm just going to cut that real close to the knot. And now look at my leaf, right? Look at that leaf. Now here's where I started. There's my little knot. You can cut that little thread off if you want, but that's where we're going to be gluing. Isn't that pretty? And you can do that with any size or shape of leaf. We're going to put a little bit of glue right here. And then you can decide kind of where you want it to go, right? You see, I just kind of stuck it right there. Isn't that pretty? So now I can add leaves on like that. And I do think it's pretty if your leaves match your little thingy here, right? So you can put a couple of little leaves on. Let's do another one real quick, just so you can see. So pretty. And I just love the way that looks. I've done tulip leaves. You know how tulip leaves are like really long? Last spring, we made some really pretty tulips. Tulips are a little more involved. They're a little more involved, but I did the tulip leaves this way too. And so cute. So cute. So let's do another leaf. And again, I kind of like just hand cutting them without a template because I want them to be kind of organic. They don't have to each look exactly the same, right? They don't have to look exactly the same. So again, we're going to fold it, just kind of fold it in half. I'm going to take my thread, my needle down through this part first. You can cut that little thread there if you want, but that's where your glue is going to wind up being. Okay, I'm going to hold it in my fingers and just start stitching. You can go underneath the fold, you can go on top of the fold, it doesn't matter. And especially if your thread coordinates with your green leaf. Mine shows a little bit, but it's not quite the same green, but that's okay. I really just don't sweat things like that. And then look at this leaf. Isn't that pretty? Isn't that nice? You like the knot method? Everybody does. I want you to try it. I want you to try it and do it yourself. Let's go back through here again, just knotting this off. I don't take it all the way down the whole leaf because you want the leaf to kind of still stay open. Isn't that pretty? Okay, so here's where my glue is going to go, right there. Don't put too much glue. And then let's put these two leaves kind of together. Just got to hold it for a second. Beautiful. Isn't that pretty? My skewer's kind of long. gorgeous? So now we've got our pretty leaves. I mean, we've wrapped it. They just look so pretty. And again, once you get kind of a whole bouquet going here, right? You can see how beautiful that's going to be. Y'all, these are easy. These are easy. You can do this. I know that you can do this. I can't wait for you to give it a try. They're gorgeous. So the difference is a little more polished. These look a little more like roses, like true roses. This is a little more fun and whimsical for texture, like if you just want some fun texture. Now, I'm going to tell you one other thing that's kind of fun, okay? If you wanted to really have a unique flower, you could do texture in the center, okay? And then you could wrap this part around it, right? You could do a whole nother color, another fabric around this one, right? With this look. That's kind of fun too. But let's start with the basics. We can start building off of these flower techniques and do all kinds of things. But let's start with the basics. And the basics are going to be these two flowers. These two flowers, very good basics to start with. And just so pretty. And you know what else I love about this, y'all? I love pattern. I love pattern. I love all kinds of pulling different fabric patterns together. It would be so fun to just do all of your whatever scraps you have and just do a multicolored bouquet. It'd be so pretty if it was just kind of eclectic. It just, you know, maybe all of your springy kind of colors, right, together. Again, these are super fun to make seasonally. They're very fun to switch out because if you do them on the skewer, like I said, you can just pop them into arrangements and things. And the wired look is great too. Okay. The wired look like this allows you to bend your stem, right? It allows you to bend your stem. So if you're going to put these flowers onto a wreath, or even if they're in a vase and you just want some of them bending, you know, over a little more naturally, you could totally do that too. Okay. So this stuff is at Hobby Lobby in the ribbon that's in the wedding section. Like the floral section. But the skewers are great too. So I want you, okay, I want you to try making these flowers. Okay. Even if all you do is make one or two, then you have a prototype, right? Then you have a prototype. You can come in and do them out of any colors of fabric, right? I kind of tried to stick with these softer colors, kind of Easter spring kind of colors. But again, look how pretty the stripe is. It doesn't really matter what the pattern is. They're all going to make beautiful flowers. Okay. They're all going to make these gorgeous, beautiful flowers.